So today now, with that good foundation that you've tried to establish, we're going to move our upper body. I don't want to say hands because the hands don't move. It's the core that moves our upper body, and it's our hips and waists that help us with our movements. So to clarify what I just said, out and to the side, and then we're going to part the wild horse's mane. So I said that I want my upper body to match my lower body. I don't want my hands to do the work. So this is how my hands do the work. It's only a hand motion. I used my hips and waists very little. Watch again. So this is what we're going to try to help ourselves with learning. So it's not a hand motion, although it looks like it's purely hands, but it's the core that we're addressing. So how are we going to do that? We're going to first set up our feet. Our left hand is 2 inches below our navel. And you see that my elbow cannot be seen if you're straight in the back of me, so I bring the hand closer to my navel or below my navel. The right hand sits about chest level, so you don't really see my elbows. I'm going to turn around and show you how I hold my ball, okay? So the ball is something like this, 2 inches below, about chest level, and your shoulders are definitely dropped, okay? Because you're giving attention to your center or your core. You're being in the best optimal gravitational position, okay? Then we're on a T, we're gonna come out on an L, and then we're gonna split the energy. The bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. And we're gonna say we're done, because our hips and waists finished, okay? Let's get a feel for what we're doing first, get the bigger picture. The same thing is patterned. We sit back and we sit down. We twist on our left heel. We create a T, and at that T position, our left hand is on the top and our right hand is 2 inches below our navel, holding our ball. We're on a T step, we're gonna take an L, and we're gonna move our body, upper body, with our lower body, keeping the same configuration. Step out. As the energy is dispensed, the bottom hand or right hand helps us to turn our hips and waists to go up the horse's mane. Hey, not bad. Sit back, sit down, twist step, root down, center, make yourself stronger by matching your upper body with your bottom by holding a ball. We are now centered. Everything is in our middle of our body. We want movement now. We're gonna step out on an L. We're gonna turn our upper body, and we're gonna, left hand or bottom hand comes out up the horse's mane on a bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, root down, center with a ball on a T stance. Step out with an L, move that ball, bottom hand or right hand goes up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, root down, T stance. L stance, left hand, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, root down, hold your ball on a T stance, bring it in, out on an L, bottom hand advances to go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball on a T stance, and I want you to pause. So when you're holding your ball on a T stance like this, ask yourself, are your horizontal danten points lined up? And are your shoulders dropped? Okay, so you're gonna raise your shoulder and you're gonna lock that knee of the back or right foot And you're going to say, that's not what she wants. She wants you to drop your shoulders and flex your knees and obey gravity and drill yourself down on the right or back foot. This is the posture that we should establish. Okay, so now your turn to watch, okay? So what we're trying to do is establish really good habits. And the habits come over time, right? So yes, you're trying to get the best of what you can do right away, but just realize that it grows and refines over time. But we don't want to begin our journey with too many incorrect or bad habits. So we said that we have a T, we have an L, we have a bow. We have a sit back and we have sit down, we have a twist step, and so on and so forth, and we do the other side. So all we're doing now is making our upper body move with our lower body so they're in synchrony. So here's what I mean. We said that the bottom hand, when we hold our ball, sits 2 inches below our navel, whereas the top hand sits at chest level. I didn't get to say, because you were following me really nicely, that when the left foot is the moving foot or the insubstantial weightless foot, the left hand is always on the bottom. Why? Because you heard me say the bottom hand advances. So if the bottom hand were this guy, how am I going to advance this guy? So we say left foot ready to go on a T, left hand on the bottom, right hand on the top. If it's the opposite, and I say the right foot is ready to go because it has very little weight, then the right hand stays to the bottom. So it will match me when I say the bottom hand advances, okay? Watch with the left hand, and I don't cross my hands. That hand is up high. It keeps that distance or that height, and it just forms a ball very naturally. Left foot ready to go, left hand ready to go because it's a bottom hand, and all I do is do this. So in the beginning, it's very awkward, like, we don't ever do this. This is not pattern of any daily activities. But later on, you'll say this is the most logical thing to do. All right. What I asked you to do is part the wild horse's mane. But we didn't talk about this hand that doesn't go up the horse's mane. It's very important. It helps us to keep in balance. It's like that hand that counterbalances when we kick out. It has a very important task. The task is that it sits to the side of your thigh as if it were holding yet another ball. So it sits like this. It can never go to sleep. It could never do anything else. It keeps our balance. And when we have that sensation or that image that we are holding a ball, it's keeping us in a good, I want to say, counterbalance. It's keeping us upright, okay? So with those words, I want to try to now let you experience it, okay? Right foot on a cross section, left on a T, holding your ball, okay? And then you say, yeah, she said, my left foot is ready to go and my left hand is on the bottom because the bottom hand always is the advancing hand. And we know the right is at chest and the left is 2 inches below your navel. And we know that the ball is not held palm to palm, but brought in so that we can't see the elbows if someone were looking from the back. T stance. We have our energy stored, so therefore it'll take our body to go up the horse's mane. T stance, out and to the side, L. You can move that ball slightly. Energy still stored on the back. As we turn our hips and waist, the upper body splits the hands to go up the horse's mane. When the hips and waist are finished turning, the hands are pretty much finished also. We're now in a bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot. When we want to root down and create gravitational stability, we form our ball. Okay, left hand on the top, right hand on the bottom, right foot ready to go because it's insubstantial. T stance. Out and to the side, move that ball, L stance, bottom hand, right, advances up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot on that right heel, right hand on the top, left on the bottom, left. Here we go, T stance, L stance, bottom hand advances, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, root down, T stance, right, bring it in, L stance, turn the hips and waist, go up the horse's mane, finish off your spin of your hips and waist. Okay, now this time when we do it, let's not worry about our hands. Only worry that we've matched it, left on the bottom, matching our left foot. This time we're going to put emphasis on turning the hips and waist. Once we know that we can turn our hips and waist, our hands or our upper body are in sync. Here we go, T stance, step out, turn the hips and waist. Here we go, bow stance. So we're trying to establish that. Don't worry about your hands because they will naturally open up once you turn your hips and waist. It's the best position to be in. And you just add a finishing touch. Sit back, sit down, pivot, ball and T. We're going to turn our hips and waist and move that energy stored on our back or right foot. Here we go. T stance, L stance. Turn the hips and waist. There. Sit back, sit down, pivot, root down, T with the ball, bring it in. L, move the energy, turn the hips and waist. There it is. Sit back, sit down, pivot, root down, center with the ball on a T stance, bring it in. Step out on an L, turn the hips and waist, let the energy out, center with the bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, root down, T stance, L stance, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball, and give yourself a lot of credit, okay? Because this is the first time you've done it, and you've never done it before, so we have to start somewhere, okay? And everybody's on their own unique journey, whatever unique, how you want to interpret the word unique, but it is unique, it is very individual. Okay, so we said that Tai Chi is very fun, but it is a discipline, so we're going to have to really learn, okay? But in the learning process, we can enjoy it because we're learning more about our body. There's no one else that's going to teach you how to use your body and feel those sensations than yourself, okay? So you made the step to come out to learn Tai Chi because you know that there's tons of research and health benefits. But you say, hey, it's not going to come automatically. We're going to have to work on it. But in the process of working on it, that's the stuff that's really going to be the basis of how you're going to grow. You're going to build on it all the time. Every little bit and time counts. But it's unlike, say, a race or a run or a competition in that you're not trying to reach your goal within a few minutes or a few weeks, but over a long period of time, okay? So give yourself some time, some confidence, and patience, of course. All right, so I'm gonna show you what we try to do.
You're going to learn different techniques, movement to movement, but there's some things that I sort of, I like to make a little joke about it. On one hand, when we do Tai Chi, all parts of the body move, but I sort of make a joke and say, there's no part of your body when you're moving that's unemployed. So when you think about here, the eye thinks here, but we forget about here. So, but your whole body moves. So we all learn in different ways. So you say, hey, I'm just learning how to hold my ball, and I'm learning that the bottom hand goes forward, and it's tough enough as it is. And truly so. So when you get that perfected, or maybe even before you get that perfected, you still think, okay, we're thinking about bottom hand going out. But what's the other part doing? You're doing a kick, and you come out and you kick only like so. What's this hand doing? It's not unemployed, it doesn't hang to the side. And in fact, to make it to you for your best benefit is that the hand comes up and out. But sometimes the most we can muster is front hand goes up and this hand comes out somewhere and it ends up down here. Not optimum, but maybe there's a little bit of balance. Best to be able to bring it up here. But those are details. What I just want to say is whatever movement you learn, try to figure out what are all of my body, parts of my body doing at that given time. But of course, when you first start, it's okay to take it in bits and pieces.
So this morning I had some time to talk with a few of you, and we know something that we need to share, that the first time around is always difficult, and the second time around it gets easier. But the third and fourth time is saying, wow, it's getting better and better. And that's true with anything you do. Okay, you want to challenge yourself in the beginning, and then you want to reap the benefits over time. Okay, so I said that I would show you what we did. I'm going to show you a front view, and then I'm going to show you a back view. So this is my T stance. I'm dropped my shoulders definitely. I'm rooted down because you see my knee flex. You see this guy's pretty weightless. If you came there, you would be able to lift it or move it. So now I'm going to tell you what I'm doing, okay? Give you a little bit more detail. I'm centering with a ball. My palms are not in line, okay? I'm coming in, getting the best gravitational position I can be in. T stance. My left foot's ready to go, my left hand's ready to go. I step out, my energy helps me, my hips and waist turn me, and I'm finished. Once I'm square to my outward foot with my hips and waist, my movement is complete. I sit back, I twist, I need balance because I'm going to only use one foot to hold my position. I want my ball centering me. My right is ready to go, my right hand is also ready to go. I step out, I move that energy, I turn my hips and waist, and here I am. So, let me just show you something a little bit not so right. So I have my hands like this, okay? This is not a Tai Chi position that I'm going to ever teach you. But surely I'm going to move, and I'm going to say to yourself that if I still do my alignment correctly and my hips and waist turn me, my hands will get there, right? So what I'm trying to show you is that no matter where my hands are, if I use my alignment and my hips and waist, I will get there. Once I stop my hips and waist, it'll only be a hand motion. But once I know that the powerful hips and waist get me there, I can step out and I can spin around. I can take it fast, or I can take it slow. But as long as these guys are working, they will get your upper body, which you think is mostly your hands, but it is your chest and shoulders also, to the forward position. So it's sort of undoing your thinking, because we think, or people who don't really study Tai Chi think that it's the hands that show the whole, that make it magnificent. But really, it's the core, your hips and waist, that are doing it. So, getting back to really understanding, if we set it up correctly rather than have it goofy, okay? We set it up correctly, and we're on a T, and we have energy. But if the energy is dispersed and it's 60% here and only 40% here, there's not going to get that, we're not going to get that rotation that we need. So we need 99%, if not all your energy stored on one back foot. To then T stance, L stance, turn the hips and waist, disperse that energy out, bow stance. So when I finished my hips and waist rotation, I paused, because if I did anything more, okay, so say I was out of sync and I did more, then this part would be a hand position, okay? So right now I'm teaching you pretty close to everything, but you realize that Tai Chi being a dance, you could add that last flare out. But for right now, that doesn't work in quite early at this point, okay? Now, this other hand that we talk about should sit almost like this. So it's a countering rather than, it's not giving us any stability. But once we come out this way, this hand is out, this hand is out in an opposite way. Okay, storing that energy, rooting down, centering on a T, bring it in. Out on an L, move the energy, turn my hips and waist, come out. Okay, ready to try. Cross section of the right T, right hand on the top, left foot ready to go, left hand on the bottom. Root it down. Take an L, move the ball, split the energy, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down. Pivot, root down, center with a ball on a T, bring it in, step out on an L, bottom hand advances, turn the hips and waist, bow stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, center with a ball on a T stance, out and to the side, turn the hips and waist, move that energy, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, center with a ball and a T stance, out and to the side, split the energy, go up the horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball and a T stance, out and to the side, part the wild horse's mane. Sit back, sit down, pivot, root down, T stance, L stance, O stance. Sit back, sit down, pivot, hold your ball. Okay.